What's up guys? Jeff from Sorta Healthy here. Today we'll be talking about switching to personal training from another career. I get asked about this all the time and I figured this topic was worthy of its own video. The first thing we'll do today is talk about some of the pros and cons of switching over to a career in personal training. My goal is to give you as much information as I can so that you can make the best decision for yourself and your career. After we've broken down the pros and cons of moving into a career in training, I'll be interviewing a special guest who made the transition to training a little while ago. This person was successful before getting into the field, but made the transition to training due to being more passionate about fitness compared to just about anything else. Does our mystery guest have any regrets about getting into the field? What do they miss most about their old job? Before we get into all the juicy stuff, all I ask is that you consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. This is the best way to support this channel, which is a free resource to all fitness professionals. Thank you so much for the continued support, everyone. You're all helping to grow this channel, and I really appreciate that. So let's start off with the pros of switching over to a career in personal training. The first pro is that there is a low barrier to entry. All you need to get started as a personal trainer is a certification that could be earned in as little as a weekend. Granted, I don't recommend that any of you try to pass your NASM, or any other trainer certification course for that matter, in a weekend, but it is possible. After you have that certification, all you really have to do is practice your training skills a bit on some friends and family, and then do reasonably okay in a job interview, and then voila, you're now working as a trainer. You don't need any sort of degree to be a trainer. I don't even know that a degree is preferred most of the time. You do have to pay people with a degree more, and to be honest, they're not usually any better when it comes to actual personal training. Granted, if you do have a degree and you're transferring over, it's certainly not a bad thing. My second pro of switching over to a career in personal training is that it encourages a healthy lifestyle. You don't have to look like a prime Arnold Schwarzenegger or Dana Lynn Bailey, but you should look relatively healthy and fit because you should be practicing what you preach. I actually think this really is a pretty legit benefit of doing training as a career, even if it is a little bit annoying sometimes. I don't know about you guys, but I like to eat junk food and I like to drink too. Definitely not all the time, but sometimes, sure. Also, sometimes I really just don't feel like working out. Like after working for an entire day, yeah, it's just hard to find the motivation sometimes. I'm sure almost all of you can relate. We've all been there at some point. A good thing about being a personal trainer is that you always have some extra motivation to keep yourself in shape. I mean, to some extent, your livelihood depends on it, right? Most people won't hire an out-of-shape trainer. End of story. Again, you don't have to have a crazy physique or anything. In fact, if you look super jacked, that might actually hurt you in some locations. You really should appear healthy and relatively fit for best results though. So when you're out at dinner and you can choose between pizza and a salad with chicken, if you're a trainer, there is even more reason to choose that salad. When you're working out and you really don't feel like doing those last few sets, well, again, you have extra motivation to get them done. If you're not careful, this can become an unhealthy obsession. But I think for most people in the fitness field, this drives us to stay fit and healthy and be good role models for our clients. My third pro, and this is probably the main reason that you're considering getting into training, is that you'll enjoy your job. Find a job that you enjoy doing and you'll never have to work a day in your life. I know that many people who are looking to move into the fitness field assume that they will enjoy training much more than their current position. Even though personal training is a very misunderstood profession, we'll get into that soon, this will still be true for many of you. Personal training can be a really fun job. Helping people achieve their goals is rewarding. Most people, not all, unfortunately, will respect your knowledge and your skill set. You also get to work in a positive, fast-paced environment with like-minded people. Training does give many people the capability to make a living doing something that they genuinely like doing. Despite some of the cons, which we'll cover soon, you can't overlook this part of the equation. My fourth pro of switching to a career in personal training is that you can have a somewhat flexible work schedule. I say somewhat because I think many incoming trainers overestimate how flexible the hours really are, but that being said, you do still usually have a fair amount of say about when you want to work. Most facilities don't expect you to work a 9 to 5 as a personal trainer. Every facility is a little bit different, but most will give you a few different options when starting out. They might say, would you rather work afternoons or mornings? Or they might say, do you want to start working 3 days a week or 2? Usually there is some level of flexibility built into these jobs. Of course, if you work for yourself, you can literally work whenever you want. Again, a lot of this stuff is misunderstood, so we'll be revisiting trainer hours in the cons section of this video too. My last pro of switching to a career in training is the unlimited potential for career growth. I've talked about this in previous videos, but this one, to someone like me who has big goals, and possibly you too, is everything. The potential for growth in the personal training industry is practically limitless, even though achieving success in the field is much harder than most people realize. You can become a successful online trainer with the ability to travel practically anywhere in the world, whenever you want, and you can do that all while making good money. You can open your own private training studio like I have, and employ other trainers, and you and your team can train a whole bunch of clients together. Heck, you could open 10 facilities like that and create a franchise. The possibilities are endless. And simply put, opportunities like what I'm describing to you don't exist in many other fields. Achieving any of the things that I just mentioned, or any other lofty goal in the fitness field, will require you to take some big risks and work really hard, but the potential is still there. Okay, so moving on to the cons, and my first one is the lack of benefits. Benefits include things like 401k matches, or just saving options in general, paid vacations, or just vacation time in general, and other standard benefits that most other jobs offer in 2021. Some training jobs will offer benefits, but most won't. If you're a trainer, most, if not all of that stuff is probably on you, and that can be pretty painful. For health insurance, myself and my wife both pay about $400 a month, or $800 total. And the sad thing is our coverage or plan isn't even that good. Everyone's situation is different, but if you're self-employed or your facility doesn't offer benefits, obviously this is a major expense. If you're in a country with better health benefits, kudos to you, you probably don't have to worry too much about this one. Like I just mentioned, it's also rare for companies to offer good retirement plans to personal trainers. Most companies these days will offer a 401k match, where you can deposit a percentage of your pay into a 401k account, and your employer will match that contribution. At the end of the day, this is still how most people retire. As a trainer, again, most likely you'll have to figure that out on your own. Then there are vacations, or lack thereof really. In most training jobs, if you're not working, you're not getting paid. So maybe you can take some time off, but you'll be losing a lot of cash. Not only that, but sometimes it can be tough to take time off because you feel obligated to your clients. Maybe you have a new client just getting started, or maybe you have a client just finishing up their session package. If you take time off at a bad time, it could cause you to lose clients. This can be tough to manage. And on that note, my second con of switching to a career in personal training is work-life balance. Remember when I said there was some flexibility to personal training hours? Yes, this is true. Do you also remember how I said it's less flexible than many people think? Let's get into that. You basically have to work when people don't work to make a living as a personal trainer. So you can choose your hours sometimes, as long as you choose hours when people aren't working. So basically you'll have to pick a whole bunch of these shifts, like 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Monday. You can do the same thing on Wednesday and Friday, and maybe you want to do Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, with the occasional Saturday. It's very common for trainers to work at least one weekend day, by the way, and you may also need to work split shifts. A split shift would be working the morning, so say from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. Then you might take a break in the middle part of the day, and you might come back to work at the facility around 3 o'clock and work until around 8 o'clock at night. These hours, though somewhat flexible, kind of suck. Combine that with the vacation issue mentioned before, and it's easy to see how work-life balance can go out the window. Also, the first few months of training, likely even the entire first year, can be really hard. And that's why this rough first year is my next con. I've broken this down a lot lately, so I'll keep it brief here, but booking up takes a while and you'll be very unsure of yourself in the beginning. Combine that with mediocre education from the certifying agencies, and you're in for a very tough first year as a trainer. You'll question yourself and your decisions a lot when you're first starting out, so be ready for a bumpy and challenging start. Once you've gotten past the beginning of your career and things have started to stabilize, you'll realize the next con, which is lack of opportunity for advancement. Like I said before, there is no ceiling on how far you can take your career as a trainer. Most opportunities for growth will require you to take big risks and for you to do it on your own. Simply put, you won't have many opportunities for advancement working for someone else. I mean, yeah, sure, you could move into like a management position or something along those lines, but these positions are rare, high stress, and usually involve little to no actual training. So unfortunately, if you have big goals as a trainer, you'll probably have to achieve them on your own. Speaking of big goals, if you have those, you probably also want to be compensated somewhat highly at some point as well. This is a problem though, because most personal trainers just don't make that much money. The average full-time trainer makes about $40,000 a year in the United States. It's tough to even know how many trainers even get to full-time status, but it seems like most never actually get there. If you want to make an above average amount of money as a personal trainer, well, like we've already said a few times, you'll probably have to work for yourself and take some big risks. This isn't true for many other jobs, so this really is a big one to consider before getting into the field. And I could ramble on all day about the pros and cons of a career in personal training, but let's do something more fun instead. Let's bring in our guest who already had a good career before getting into training and see what they have to say about all of this. Oh, fancy seeing you here.
First of all, my name is Alexis and I'm the other half of the Sorta Healthy team. Second of all, I literally work here and we're married.
All right, well, if you're so smart then, I've got a few questions for you. What did you do before getting into training?
Before getting into training, I was an elementary school teacher. I taught second grade, third grade, and English as a second language.
Do you have any regrets about getting into personal training?
It's not really a regret, but it really sucks having to pay for my own health insurance.
What do you, Alexis, like most about being a trainer?
This is gonna sound really cliche, but what I really like most about being a trainer is that I get to help people change their lives. I am also really passionate about fitness and nutrition, and I like researching and educating people on those things. So it's nice being able to take those into here and being able to talk to people about those things.
What do you miss most about your old job?
There are only really like a couple little things that I miss. One would be the kids. It's really, really cool to watch kids like get something and grasp a concept that they've never learned before and actually put it like into practice, which you don't really get with adults. It's just different. Two, I miss the hours. I worked from 8 o'clock or 8:30 until like 2:30 or 3, and the hours in personal training are not 8 to 3, that's for sure. And I don't get summers off and vacations.
In your opinion, when does someone know that switching to training is the right move for them?
Someone knows that switching to a career in personal training is right for them when they are so passionate about health and fitness that they really can't live anymore without like instilling that in other people. And that's really like the only thing you want to do anymore.
All right, let's get a round of applause for our very special, super secret guest, everyone. I'm sure none of you saw that coming at all. And on that note, I think that's all that we have for today. Both Alexis and myself are in agreement that you should only switch to a career in personal training if you feel like you have to. You need an extreme level of passion for everything fitness to make that transition worth it most of the time. If you're unsure if that's you, either start training part-time on the side of your other job, or simply don't get into training. Anyways, that's our advice to you, and hopefully all of you found this video helpful. If you guys have any questions or comments on anything, please leave those down below and I will respond to you. And if you haven't already, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, because that does help the channel to grow, which does allow me to create more free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sorta healthy.